Hey y'all, welcome back. My name is Sarah and I love to talk about movies. Today we're going to talk about Splice. And over here we go a little deeper into a film. You'll never hear me say, I just don't like it, or I didn't get it, or I hate that actress so I didn't like the film. So, two young rock star scientists who work for a major pharmaceutical company have just made history and created two custom designed living organisms. As they unveil these two new beings, it looks like a stakeholders event where everybody's dressed in suits and looks very rich. There's a kind of malfunction, and the two organisms, which they've named Ginger and Fred, attack and kill each other in front of everyone. That caused a bit of the stir with the CEO, who basically told them that whatever the malfunction was, that they need to figure out how to fix it and start from scratch again in order to reassure said stakeholders that there will be a return on their investment. So in addition to that work, Elsa decides that they should take their project to the next step and include human DNA. So they test out different combinations of different species until they land on one that seems viable and decide to artificially inseminate and create a new organism. The experiment is a success and a viable subject is created. It survives past its own birth and continues to develop. As it does, it goes through a series of physical transformations. And soon the dominant features of the organism are more human than animal. And Elsa begins developing a stronger attachment to the subject, who they've named Dren. And during this time, Clive and Elsa have gone back and forth about the morality of it all, the ethics of it all, the potential lawsuit of it all. And they continued on with the project. They hit a few speed bumps along the way. And in particular, after Gavin, Clive's brother, finds out about their experiment, that's when they hit a point where they realized that they would have to move Dren out of the facility and into a more secluded private area where they could continue their observations and experiments. So they take Dren out to the country where there's this old abandoned house that used to belong to Elsa's mother, and a barn as well, which they kind of outfit for Dren with a bed and essentials. And they're able to observe her from the house. So while Dren's physical transformations have slowed down, her mental advancement is kicking into high gear. She's starting to develop a better understanding of the world around her and making observations of her own and making demands of her own. Elsa and Clive's relationship starts to deteriorate. More and more, Clive is questioning the validity of the experiment, if it's even an experiment at all at this point. Things come to a head between Dren and Elsa one day, and Dren nearly escapes. There are a series of confrontations between Dren and Elsa as their relationship becomes more and more intense. So soon it becomes clear that there's something wrong with Dren, that for whatever reason her body is going through yet another transformation, and it seems that it's causing her body to shut down. At the same time, the jig is up at work. They've been distracted. There's been extended absences. The CEO has been poking around, and Gavin has been stressed to the absolute max trying to keep their experiment a secret. So Dren dies. They decide to just bury the whole thing, bury the experiment, get rid of her body, and just move on from there. So as it turns out, while Dren did die, something else emerged in her place, attacking Gavin, Clive, and Elsa. Manages to kill it, and Elsa is left alone. In the last scene, you see Elsa standing with the CEO. So at this point, the company has stepped in. They've retrieved Dren's body. They've kind of hushed up this whole event, and they found that what they're learning from Dren has a lot of potential in their industry. There's a legal document that is waiting for Elsa's signature. And as they turn away from the window, you can see that Elsa is very pregnant and that Elsa is agreeing to whatever conditions the company has come up with. And that's how the movie ends. It's a really straightforward film, hour and a half, and it is solidly in the horror science fiction with a little bit of thriller. It goes there. It has a lot of ideas that are controversial, that really are taken as far as they can be taken within the context of this story. Genetically designed life, including human DNA. Experimentation outside of an actual controlled environment. Becoming emotionally attached to your subject, including yourself in the experiment. And then there are other psychological things that I love that they included in this, because Elsa and Clive are like rock star scientists that have at a younger age been given a lot of freedoms in terms of how they do their work. They don't have anyone really to report to. They don't have like a team necessarily unless they need one. They're pretty much allowed to work independently. So certain things, because of their job and because of their personalities, I didn't need to know. You guys know that in a lot of movies I complain about a lack of character development through other reflections, like other friends and other family, and them having hobbies or being a part of an organization or a group of some kind, or being involved in a sport. Here you could tell that their jobs were such a big part of their identity, that the fact that they spend so much time there, that they don't work 8 hours a day and then go home. They take their work home with them. They stay super long hours, and that is normal for them and for their characters. And that felt very true to character here. There's a lot of that within the story. The fact that Elsa grew up in a broken home and is the way she is because of that makes sense. Clive grew up, it seems, in a regular type of home environment. His younger brother works for the same company and is there, so they have that connection. But they are in kind of like a bubble of their own making. So the fact that reality and fantasy in a way become blurred makes sense for them in this context. So I was really impressed by that. We have enough of these for all of the main characters, including Dren. Even though she is of a different species, we also see enough of her to get an idea of her development, not of a personality exactly, not of a sense of her values necessarily, but we do get a sense of her as a being. And yes, we're getting like the pseudoscience, parascience. As far as the settings for the story, the different locations really helped build out the edges of the story. We get to see Elsa and Clive's apartment, we get to see the building where they work, multiple labs, secret areas in the building, the cabin in the woods, the barn. There are enough locations and enough details. Like we see the sign outside the front of their building where they work. There are enough details like in the interior locations and outside that make their world feel real and feel relevant for modern day. So I would give Splice a solid 3 out of 5. Absolutely. There were some gaps where I wish we had more information, but I understand that, time is of the essence, because a main part of the story is watching the development of the subject from day to day to day. So having a way to show time passing is very important, and we get that in the film without it being too much. So Dren's design, I really liked the fact that there were some specific details to her design. I just thought were very well done. She has enough human qualities that she looks familiar, but enough other qualities that she is also othered, if that makes sense. And as many surprises as there are in this movie, at the end you just like, damn. By the end of the movie, I had no idea what the next scene would be. And that was a shocker. But you guys let me know what you think. I really appreciate you spending your time here with me today, and I'll see y'all next time.